Hi friends, a very good morning and thank you for joining in today. Let me just check if everything is working all right. Also, please let me know if everything is working all right in the chat window. In case you're not seeing the chat window, just refresh it and you'll be able to see it fairly clearly. So let's just wait for everyone to join in and yeah, we'll get started in a couple of minutes. Cool. So let's see. So can you just confirm in the chat window if everything is good? Vasu, I'll surely come to questions in a while. We'll focus mostly on AI, but if there are a few questions about roles related to software development, I'm happy to take them if time permits, right? So, okay, everything seems to be going good. I can also see myself on my phone. Very good, very good. Okay, very good. So let's get started in a couple of minutes while others join in. I'll take a bunch of questions that are there in the chat window. Our team also created a bunch of frequently asked questions that a lot of students ask us. We also collated the questions that are there in the announcement video. In the comment section of the announcement video, I'll tackle those also. We'll spend about 60 to 70 minutes in this session. Again, I understand that it's still festive season in many parts of India, especially in south of India. So yesterday was Sankranti, so it's mostly a 3 to 4 day festive season. So I understand some of you are still in the festive season. I don't want to eat up a lot of your time. So we'll try and wrap it up in 60 to 70 minutes. But I also take questions which are there in the chat window. So Vasu has this first question, which is, if I solve the questions, okay, what set of questions to solve in LeetCode to crack Google-like companies? So on LeetCode, you should be comfortably able to solve medium and hard questions, because those are what are typically focused for. Again, I'm assuming this is for SDE1 role. This is not for a machine learning role. I'm only talking about SDE1 role. So for a SD, software development engineer 1 role, or an entry level software engineer role, you should be able to solve most of the medium level questions and a good chunk of the hard questions, because those are what you'll encounter in companies like Google. Again, amongst all the FANG-like companies, Google has some of the hardest interviews. They typically tend to be harder than even companies like Amazon or Microsoft, just to give you that context. Cool. Okay, so this is from Sridatta. Again, I'm just randomly taking questions from the chat window. I'll come to the list of questions that we prepared. I also have them here. My team is also looking at the chat window and collating some of the questions. So in the meantime, while others join in, let me jump into a few of the questions. This is Sridatta who says, I joined as an NLP developer and I forgot some of the basics of machine learning. Should I review the course again? Should I review these concepts? Yes. So while I understand that you're working as an NLP developer, and I think, okay, you are a course enrolled student, you got a job as an NLP developer, now you're considering should you renew the course. Again, that's up to you, but what I would recommend is, even as an NLP developer, even though you're using mostly deep learning concepts, transformers, etc., it's important to know the foundational stuff. Let me give you a simple example. Even when you build advanced deep learning models, you still have to perform data analysis on what errors this model is making. And that data analysis typically is done using simpler statistical techniques. So while you might be using the cutting edge deep learning techniques 80% of your time, you still need a concrete knowledge and an applied knowledge of basic statistics, basic machine learning techniques, and things like that. So I strongly recommend that you don't lose touch of the basics. Probably you can revise it because you're already a course enrolled student. So you can just revise these concepts from the notes that you've prepared. You may not have to renew the course per se because you've already gone through it once, you know the concepts. It's just about a refresher for you, right? Cool. So this is a question about the GATE examination. Okay, so I'll make a quick point about it. I know some of you, for a vast majority of you, this may be irrelevant. But as far as the organizing committee of GATE, which is headed by IIT Kharagpur now, I have not seen, none of our teammates actually have seen a change in the schedule. Again, the change of schedule is something that I'm not equipped to comment on, because I don't know the macro picture that Government of India or that a lot of examination committees know. So we should let them take the best decision that they think is appropriate, but we should take all the necessary precautions, whether wearing double masks, whatever is needed, whatever is recommended by Government of India, in case the examination will continue to be, let's say, February itself. The government also will give very clear guidelines. We should also take double masking precautions, maintaining distance, all of that stuff. So again, this is something that only people who have the macro picture, the high level picture can comment on. My knowledge is mostly from media, which is always limited, which is never the big picture that government agencies have. So it's a decision that I leave experts to take care of. Cool. Okay, so this is from KD Nagar. How much effort should a normal student need to put in to crack FANG-like companies? Again, Nagar, I'm not sure whether you're talking about software development or whether you're talking about machine learning roles, right? So let me comment about machine learning roles. For machine learning roles, FANG-like companies, again, there are different roles, as we often say. There is the machine learning engineer as well as an applied scientist role, where you have to be very good at data structures algorithms also, very similar to an SDE level bar there. But for a data scientist role, the requirement is slightly less. The programming bar is not the same as SDE bar, but the machine learning data science bar is good. So we have seen students who come from smaller engineering colleges, from services companies, who have put in a good amount of 1 year effort, learned the foundations very well, worked on them, and got into top product-based companies or unicorn startups. Again, the unicorn startups and FANG-like companies are almost on par in terms of compensations. I would actually recommend the unicorn-like startups because you get to learn a lot more in a shorter window of time than a FANG-like company, unless in the FANG-like company you're joining a team which is very young, right? So we have seen students do that in about 12 months in general. Of course, they have to focus more on mathematical rigor, programming ability, applied knowledge, the depth of knowledge, as well as the breadth of knowledge, but it is possible. Cool. Okay, so this is from Dugu, which is, I'm a BCA second year student. Should I pursue the course now? All I need is knowledge and an internship before doing MCA. Dugu, my suggestion here is as follows. I would strongly recommend that you pursue an MCA right after your BCA if you can. And the reason for that is the moment you have an MCA degree, the industry typically treats you on par with a BTech student. So your number of positions will increase, number of opportunities will increase. While pursuing an MCA, you can do a remote internship in a few companies. That's possible. So with just a BCA degree, most likely you could get a data analyst role, not so much of a data scientist role, which is okay, which is a good start, by the way. But I would strongly recommend, since anyway you're thinking of pursuing an MCA, prepare well, get into a good MCA college. That's because in BCA you're learning the foundations of computer science, right? Get into a good MCA college and learn data science in parallel to your MCA, get good remote internships and then a full-time job. That is a path that we see most students taking. Again, I'm not saying you can't do an internship after BCA, you can. There are students of ours who have done that as data analysts typically, sometimes even business analysts. Cool. Okay, Vasu, good suggestion. We'll also try to do something similar to this for software development roles also in probably in the next iteration of public live sessions. Thank you. So okay, let me tackle some of the questions that I saw. Okay, since it's 11:05, let's get started more actively. I'm looking at, first I'll look at the questions that students have posted in the announcement video, right? So let's go through some of those and let's go one by one. Okay, so this is from Kirtana, also very liked comment. Her question here is very nice. Some people are discouraging us to study data science nowadays, saying that there is too much competition already in the field, and as the field becomes mature, one cannot grow in data science hereafter. What is your thought on it? Very nice question, Kirtana. And my points are as follows. Any field, like this is basic economics, right? The same thing happened in the late 90s and early 2000s for software development. The same thing happened around 2010 for mobile development. When any field is in its infancy, there will be more roles, there will be more demand, but there is a less supply of good engineers, right? So there is a lot of job roles, etc. There are fewer people ready for it. And as people see the opportunity, more and more will learn. That's a natural system for any job role. This is basic economics. But here comes the most important part. When we talk to a lot of recruiters, a lot of companies, a lot of hiring managers, they say, hey, we are not finding the right type of people. So while there are a lot of jobs, they're not able to close those jobs well enough, because I think what's happening is, just like in software development in the late 90s and early 2000s, everybody who could write a prime number program thought they were a software engineer, or everybody who could write a SQL simple query thought they were a software engineer. They were not. Similarly, nowadays, anybody who can use sklearn thinks that they're a data scientist. They are not. Okay. So there is a huge gap right now. Even right now, even though a lot of people are learning data science, they're not learning it properly from first principles and from an applied mindset. Right? At Applied Roots, we do hundreds of interviews every month of our students, mock interviews we perform. And we see people having that gap every day. So the market requires good data scientists, and there aren't enough good data scientists right now. So again, hopefully, we hope that we can create more and more good data scientists, and the bar will keep increasing, obviously, right? And if you want to excel in a data science career, again, we have our students who have joined data science careers in the last 1 year, and they're growing massively. And that's because their foundations are strong, they have good applied knowledge, and I don't see a limitation on how much you can grow in this career, given that there is still a significant supply-demand gap, and there is a significant skills gap. For example, let me give you an example here, right? Even for software development, which is very mature now, lot of companies say we are struggling to hire good, slightly 2-year experienced or 4-year experienced software engineers. Even in the teams that I worked in Amazon earlier, with which I'm still in a lot of contact, and I talk to most of my teammates now, they say, hey, it's getting very hard for us to hire good software engineers with 4 to 5 years experience. They said it's almost impossible. Even though we are paying exorbitant salaries, it's so hard for us to hire. So what has happened to all the software engineers who have been in the field for the last 15, 20 years? They have not improved their skills. So whether you're in software engineering or data science or mobile development or full stack development, if you are not constantly updating your skills, you will be a dinosaur in 5 years. That's a fact of life. Again, high SDE2s and SDE3s, they're so damn hard to hire for companies like Amazon, even today, even though for 20 years we have been building data science, we have been building software engineers, right? So at the end of the day, there are careers, very large number of careers. What you need is the right skills to crack them and the right mindset to continuously learn and grow. That is super duper important. If you don't have it, if you don't have that continuous learning and improvement mindset, whichever career you go to, you'll stagnate. Again, I have some friends of mine who have done that, right? They know some basics, they got into a decent job, they have not upskilled themselves and they have not grown. And that's a reality of a marketplace like jobs, especially in a fast growing and a fast evolving field like software development or machine learning or data science or whatever it is, right? So just keep that in mind. That's a very good question, and it's also the highest voted question. So now let me go into the second question here, which is from Kushal, also highly voted, which is, I have 4 months of experience in performance testing at a services company, and I want to shift to an ML engineer role at a product-based company. Okay, I'm willing to spend 1 year learning machine learning in depth. I've also currently enrolled in an interview prep course, okay? And I'm also learning some Python APIs from other places, good. I'm considering joining the diploma program. How should I plan my 1 year to get an ML engineer role or a data scientist role? So Kushal, my suggestion for you is, since you're not a software engineer, a data scientist role at a product-based company is more appropriate for you, because for a machine learning engineer, they typically expect you to have both a good software engineering knowledge as well as the data science knowledge. For a data scientist, while you need to know basic programming, while you need to know basic data structures, the hiring bar is slightly lower. So a data scientist is something that you can aspire for. Focus on a few things, right? Since you're already enrolled in the interview prep course, I'm sure you're learning data structures, time complexity, space complexity, how to write code efficiently, etc. As far as the machine learning is concerned, focus on the fundamentals, basic mathematics, focus on applied knowledge. Always ask, given a technique, do I understand it inside out? Can I derive it from first principles? Can I code this just using NumPy and nothing else, right? So have the depth of understanding of the techniques that you've learned. Get a good breadth. Learn everything from basic statistical techniques to state-of-the-art transformers, because you don't know what job you might be interviewed for. You could be interviewed for an NLP engineer or a computer vision engineer or a general purpose data scientist. You don't know that. So get a good breadth of knowledge, good depth of knowledge. Become good at programming, where you can implement most of the machine learning techniques you're learning from first principles, from scratch. If you have that programming ability, I think With these three things, you can crack most product-based companies. Again, even in case you miss the FANG-like companies, you'll get like top product-based startups, like unicorn startups or top product-based companies. If not like in FANG, you don't have Microsoft, right? Which is still a very, very good company, by the way, right? So it's very possible to do that. The focus should be on being able to implement most machine learning techniques from first principles. That will improve your programming knowledge and depth of understanding, breadth of knowledge, applied knowledge with the depth of clarity. I think that will get you, of course, when I say applied knowledge, you can also showcase your skills by solving two or probably more if you can, real world problems end to end. Take a problem, go from data cleaning to model productionization end to end, write a good technical blog, put up all this stuff on your GitHub profile, also build a demo website, right? So you can do it on any cloud-based system using the free tier, right? So try all these, and I think with that, your chances of getting into very good product-based companies increases significantly, right? Cool. So I'll take one more question from here, then I'll jump into the live chat also. Like I'll try and toggle between both. Cool. So this is okay. My team is also collating some of the questions from the chat window. Okay, so this question here is how to start career transition from ECE to the IT field. We know some C programming, but what you suggest to do to become a computer science engineer to work in IT field. Okay, so I think this is from somebody whose alias is Rockstar Edits. Very nice question. So you come from a non-computer science field. You might have done some basic C programming. I think he's a fresher or somebody who's just finishing his bachelor's degree or just finished his bachelor's degree. So coming from, let's say, ECE, mechanical, civil, etc., but don't know much of programming except for basic C programming. So because you've studied ECE, mechanical or civil, I'm assuming that you know more mathematics, especially vector calculus, right, than a typical computer science student. So one path that we see a lot of ECE, EEE, mechanical, civil students use is, see, for a CS student to get into a regular software engineer role, data structures and algorithms are the most important. For an ECE student, they're at a disadvantage there because the CSE guys have been studying data structures and algorithms from their very second year of BTech onwards. While ECE students can learn data structures and algorithms and get into software engineer roles, that's one path. But you have to look at your competition, right? You have to be able to compete with CS people, and learning data structures and algorithms, if you put your mind and practice for it, it's a 6-month journey. It's not rocket science. We have a lot of people with non-CS backgrounds who take some of our interview prep or applied coding track. 6 months, they're fully brushed up. They can compete with CS folks. That's one path that you can consider. The second path is the data science path. Because you have learned more mathematics and because you're not at the same level as CS folks for programming, you can also consider the data science path because you have learned vector calculus, which most CS folks are terribly bad at. Like I was very, very bad at vector calculus, Fourier transforms, signal processing, all these concepts. But all these concepts are very, very important in machine learning and data science, right? So another track you can say is, okay, I will improve my programming skills. Instead of C, I will pick up Python. I'll learn some basic data structures and algorithms. But because I've studied all this image processing, signal processing, all the vector calculus in my mathematics courses, I will go into a data science path. And you can easily get into a data scientist role as long as you have the mathematical mindset. So the choice that you have to make here is this. If you're somebody who enjoys mathematics and who like visualization, who is fascinated with data science in general and who's willing to put in the effort, can get into a data science career with let's say 7 to 9 months of effort. On the software development, it becomes a hardcore data structures, algorithms type of interviews. Of course, a little bit of databases and SQL also. So you have both these paths, both these are valid paths, both these are good journeys for you. Again, whichever path you take, there is no one right path ever in your career. You can become a software engineer and become a brilliant software engineer. I've been fortunate to work with some of these people. You can become a data scientist and become a phenomenal data scientist. Whatever career path you take, make sure that you're spending at least 5 hours a week in constantly upgrading your skills. If you don't do that, you'll become a dinosaur in 5 years. You might be a brilliant software engineer today, but if you're not upskilling yourself by spending at least 5 hours reading the technical blogs and architecture blogs of some of the best companies in the world, you'll not stay the best software engineer or a top software engineer. That's true for any career. Even if you're a surgeon, right? Imagine you're a doctor, you're a surgeon, let's say you're a neurosurgeon. Neurosurgeons constantly keep learning and upgrading their skills, right? If they don't do it in 5 years, a younger guy will be smarter than them, will know more advanced techniques and things like that. So you have to constantly keep learning the way top surgeons of the world do. There is no escaping that fact. I think surgeons, software engineers, data scientists, all of them have to continuously learn. Otherwise, they become dinosaurs very quickly. Okay, cool. So another question here, again, thanks to my team who's collating all this. This is from Amit Mishra. So the question here is, I'll read it from my phone. I have 15 years of experience, but not very technical, and mostly worked as functional and ETL with strong SQL experience and trying to move into data science machine learning. Is the move possible? Okay, very nice question, Amit. So I'm assuming that you mostly worked on creating data pipelines, SQL queries, probably PLSQL in Oracle and things like that. Because with 15 years of experience, I'm sure you would have seen data at a much larger scale than some youngsters. So I would say you're more like a database expert. Of course, it could be on the database administration side, or it could be on the database pipelining side. Actually, you're at a very advantageous position because you already know one of the most important components for a data scientist. You already know that because you are already working day in, day out for almost over a decade on just building SQL pipelines. And that's an integral part. That's literally the very first part of building an end-to-end machine learning solution. So we see a lot of people with the 10 plus years experience in data pipelines or SQL or data engineering or database administration move very comfortably, but you have to come out of your comfort zone. You have to come out of your comfort zone of just building data pipelines, go one step further. Again, since you have already 10 plus years of experience in the industry, whatever project you're currently working on, I'm sure you have access to a lot of data. Take it up as an internal project, right? Talk to your manager, talk to your architect, or if you're already an architect, talk to your director, right? And tell them, hey, we have all this data. This is a client's data. This is all the SQL queries that you are running to get some metrics or to do some pipelines and stuff like that. I've built this small module where we are doing simple data analysis on this and doing some data visualization that adds value to the client, right? It could be simple data analysis or data visualization. So build on top of what you already have in databases or in SQL. And then you can say, hey, this visualization is adding a lot of value to the customer or to your client. And then you say, hey, let's build a simple predictive machine learning model. So the best suggestion for you is you can easily transition. Actually, you're in an advantageous position as compared to others who don't handle data and data pipelines on regular basis. So you're at a huge advantage there, right? So build all these adjoining pieces like data analysis or data visualization or simple ML models. Build it for the clients that you're currently working for, or build it for the same team that you're working for, and that will happily and easily make you into a data scientist within your own org or externally. Most people that we see with 10 plus years of experience in the industry, we strongly recommend them to apply the data science and machine learning techniques that they're learning to their own teamwork, to the current projects that they're part of, because they're already at a slightly senior level. Now, when you do that, you can use that as a proof to transition to a proper data scientist career within your same org or outside your org very easily. That's a proof that you not only have learned data science and machine learning, you are also applying it to your day-to-day work. That's super duper important. Cool. Okay. Many more questions that my team is putting through. Okay, cool. I'll try to answer some of these. Okay. So this is from Sachin Kumar. What's the salary I can expect in a machine learning role after doing the course? I have 1 year experience in Python development. So Sachin, there is a huge variability. So the course is the same for everyone, right? So the effort that our team puts in, the interviews, the case studies, the assessment tests, they're the same for everyone. We see a huge spectrum of outcomes because of the effort that people are putting in. At the end of the day, it all boils down to that. Since you're already a Python developer, you have an advantage, right? That you already know some Python programming, you have to build the other components that you lack. So on the lower end, we would say 6 lakhs per annum is what you can comfortably, on the lower end, 6 lakhs per annum gross salary is what you can get as an entry level data scientist or even a data analyst. On the median side, it should be around 10 to 12 lakhs on the median side, on an average. On the upper side, it could go as high as 18 to 20 lakhs. I'm talking about fresher with 1 year experience. That's all I'm talking about, right? So on the lower end, it will be 6 to 7 lakhs. Median will be 10 to 12. On the higher end, it will be 18 to 20. This is the range that we typically observe. There are exceptions to this rule, by the way. I'm not talking about exceptions. In general, this is the pattern that we see. Again, we see a lot of students who are Python developers or 1 year experience at a services company, build all the skills, get into a good startup in a 10 to 12 compensation. That happens very, very often in our situation. 6 to 7 is more of the lower bound. Okay, that's a good question. So next is Soham Shah, who says, I have 1 year experience as a full stack developer, and next year I'll be switching my job after you have a bond with your company. Got it. Can I get a job in FANG-like companies in data science roles, or should I go for MS abroad? Okay, Soham, very nice question. So I think the choice between doing MS abroad and going for a data science career are not different, because we have students who go for a master's program abroad and then look for data science careers abroad. People do that very often. For most Indians, for 99% of people who go abroad to pursue a master's degree, this is a fact of it. You may agree or you may not agree to it, but that's a fact. Most people go because of better job opportunities and higher compensations in US. That's the reality of it. There are 1% of people who still go for a master's degree because they get into a Stanford or an MIT or a CMU, etc. Because they're the best universities of the world. So that's an exception, not a norm. 99% of people go for a master's because it opens them through OPT to search for jobs in the US and then move to H1 visa, etc. If that is your objective, go for MS, that's the best way. But even when you go for MS, you can always pick careers in data science. There is a huge scarcity of data science experts in US and also Europe. So you can do both of these. But since you already have full stack development experience, try to build on top of it. For example, there is TensorFlow.js, right? Very interesting library, if I may say so, or a module where you can deploy deep learning models on the web browser. That's an interesting thing. And typical data scientists are not good at doing it because they're not front-end developers. They don't know JavaScript very well, or they don't know how to build full stack solutions on the web, right? Or even on the mobile phone. So since you already are a full stack developer, if you build the data science skills, there is a huge opening that because of your skill sets that you can look at in the intersection of front-end development, like for example, browser-based deep learning systems. We believe, or even mobile-based, right? On the mobile phone, basically on the mobile phone, deep learning systems that can be deployed on the mobile phone. There is a lot of potential that will open up in that space, and you will be at a very interesting juncture for it. So we see a lot of full stack developers, front-end developers, back-end developers also picking up data science because they like the field and they can marry their expertise to this, right? Again, as a full stack developer, I'm assuming you also know back-end systems like how do you build a data pipeline, or how do you process data, how do you cache data, and all of those things. Those all will come very handy when you build scalable, productionizable machine learning and deep learning systems, right? So you can marry the skills that you have. Going for a master's is about careers in the US. That's a different story altogether. Again, if you're getting an admit at Stanford or MIT or Berkeley, please go for it. They're the best universities in the world to pursue your master's, hands down. Cool. One second. Okay, this is from Santosh. We are seeing the rise of blockchain and metaverse. How can these technologies impact data science field? I would say, again, these are still in their infancy. Blockchain is at a different beast altogether, but all the metaverse thing is still at its infancy. Even Facebook or Meta, as they're called now, they predict that things will mature in 5 to 10 years. But one thing that I see, imagine you have an augmented reality or a virtual reality system. It requires tons of computer vision systems to be available, and that's not an easy task. And a lot of that computer vision will be driven. There will be a lot of computer vision, there will be a lot of audio systems, or there will be a lot of intelligent systems in the VR set itself, right? Or in the AR set. A lot of that will be driven by advances in deep learning. Like you have to recognize that there is a person in front of you, right? And that recognition requires deep learning. While there is a hardware component to virtual reality and augmented reality that Metaverse is trying to build, there is also a lot of computational aspects. There is also a lot of IoT aspects to it, right? So I think it will be like a boost to deep learning and machine learning systems, because they will become center stage for a lot of computational needs. Like imagine if I wear an augmented reality Google Glass or an Apple Glass like setup, right? I have to recognize that this person is in front of me and I want to see his LinkedIn profile, right? And all that can only happen through face recognition, scalable search and things like that, which are all driven by advances in deep learning, machine learning. Blockchain, there are some applications in the intersection of blockchain and machine learning, but they're still in their infancy. Metaverse, if it takes off, I think there is a lot of computer vision stuff ahead of us. Very interesting stuff. Cool. This is from, I think, an Elias which says Afan SKM. While applying for data analyst roles through LinkedIn, how to stand out from other applicants so that recruiters can see my application and resume? Very nice question. So Afan, the best way that we see our students stand out is at the very top of their LinkedIn profile itself, they say, hey, these are my 2 technical blogs that I've written, good 2000 word detailed technical blogs. This is my GitHub profile. They also sometimes show a demo website of the system that they've built. Sometimes they also put a short video, right? Imagine if I do some computer vision stuff. Showcasing that through a small demo video is very helpful. So always try to, because the recruiter also doesn't have too much time to look at your resume. So video demos of the systems that you've built, end-to-end systems that you've built, are super duper useful. Write good technical blogs, put your GitHub profile, show also give them a website, a simple, you can build a very simple free demo of your system on Heroku or on AWS in the free tier. Just let them play around with it. That's a guarantee for them that you've actually done it and you're not just fooling around. That helps a lot when we try to convince recruiters that a specific student actually has the skills and he's not just saying that he has the skills, he has a proof that he has the skills. Short videos are also very helpful. Okay, video demos, that's what I mean. Cool. Okay, thanks to my team because they're collating all this. It's hard to look at all this anyway. So, okay, so this is from Sachin. Again, they're trying to collate questions which are of the same format. Maybe different people have asked them, but in similar line. This is from Sachin. Which option is better? Aiming for data analyst, scientist role first and then a machine learning, deep learning engineer role later, or directly aiming for an ML or DL engineer? Very nice question. So Sachin, I would say that if you have already been a software developer, if you come from a software development background or a computer science background, then you can directly target for an ML engineer or an NLP engineer or a computer vision engineer because you've learned some software development already. If you come from a non-software development background, for example, you're a tester, right? Or you come from an ECE background, or you're a mechanical engineer somewhere, or you're you could come from, or you could be let's say a business analyst somewhere. For such people, a better path would be to become a data scientist first because the expectation on programming is lower, while the expectation on machine learning is the same, right? So you're learning all of the machine learning stuff. You're not spending too much time in the software to learn a lot of details of software development. Of course, you have to know basic data structures, basic algorithms, etc. Get into a data scientist role and then you can move into a machine learning engineer role if that excites you, right? That's the key goal there. Okay, cool. Okay, next one is from, just give me a second, please. So the next question is from Manjunath Nayak. I have 5 years experience in manual testing. I'm willing to learn programming. Can you help whether AI, ML or interview prep course suits me? So Manjunath, that's a decision that you have to take. Because are you passionate about building large-scale distributed systems through software development, or are you passionate about, are you interested in data science applications? See, as I told you multiple times, even in today's session, you could become a good software engineer or you could become a good data scientist, right? Both of those are valid propositions. Both of them will compensate you well. Both of them will give you great work in the long run. So it's a decision that you have to make. I would strongly recommend that you check out the free videos that we have, both for the interview prep course and the machine learning course. See what is right for you. That's a decision that you have to take. In both of them, you have to put in similar amount of effort and hard work. There is no escaping hard work. Well, once you take a decision, you have to put in the effort. So we typically recommend students to put in at least 12 to 15 hours of effort for an average student, typically 12 to 15 hours of effort a week, consistently over a 1 year period. And that will get you results. Because when you put in effort, when you get the right guidance, when your queries are resolved, there is no reason why you should not successfully transition to careers. That's the key there. Okay, cool. So The decision on whether interview prep is right for you or this is right for you is your call. It depends on what you're motivated by, what you're interested in. In terms of the effort will be fairly similar in both, if not the same. Maybe the effort might be slightly less in the interview prep, but similar in nature. Cool. Okay, so let me look at some of the questions, okay, which are there in the comment section of our yesterday's video. So the question here is, I'm a 2021 pass out and I'm currently in a services-based company with a CTC of 4 lakhs. Here I'm not learning something good, only I'm filling some documentation and Excel. I want to switch my career towards data science. How your course can help me? Perfect. Again, we have tons of students like you from services companies who are not excited by their work and who start because we all are doing remote work right now. They spend 12 to 15 hours of effort. My strongest recommendation, this is from somebody whose alias is AS. So please check out the free content that we have. See if you're interested, if you're able to follow that content, see if that's what you want to do, right? And within a year, you can successfully transition to a data science career, year to year and a half max. As it all depends on what effort you're putting in. So very, very doable. You're a very typical student. We have people with, and our average student is somebody who is like, who has like, let's say 2 years of experience. That's a typical student for us, right? And you're very, very, very much our average student. And we have seen hundreds and hundreds of students like you who have successfully transitioned careers, right? So very doable. Okay. Okay, so let me go back to the questions in the chat window that my team is collating. Okay, so this is from Bablu Mahato. I'm a CS graduate in 2021. I'm working in image processing in embedded systems. Very nice. In in the car industry. Cool. I want to switch to data science field. Which field do you think I need to focus more on? Computer vision. Okay. So Bablu, since you're already working in image processing, I mean that's a very sweet spot to be in, right? In automotive industry. So since you're already in image processing, a computer vision role is a no-brainer, right? Learn the state of the art in computer vision, deep learning, all the architectures of deep learning. Because you already have image processing experience, build that next level of expertise. Instead of using simple classical image processing, go and learn the advanced deep learning stuff, and that will open up a lot of opportunities for you because you have relevant experience in image processing in automotive domain, and you have the advanced depth of knowledge through state-of-the-art deep learning and computer vision techniques, including state-of-the-art stuff like vision transformers, etc. Once you are there, I think that's what I would strongly recommend. But of course, while you're learning machine learning, don't just go and learn deep learning and deep learning for computer vision. Learn the other techniques also, so that you're not, because in most, even for computer vision engineer roles, while most of the interviews will focus on computer vision related, image processing related, and also deep learning related stuff, they'll also ask you general stuff in statistics, general machine learning techniques, maybe some NLP techniques. For example, transformers was a technique from NLP, which is also now being borrowed into computer vision through vision transformer like ideas, right? So you don't know which concept will become very important in computer vision in the next 1 year. So they'll test your breadth of knowledge, but they'll also focus a lot of depth in computer vision. So computer vision is a no-brainer fit for you. Cool. And again, all the very best as you transition. Cool. Okay, so a lot of questions here. This is from Jagdish. How to make a career transition from a non-IT background like a BE mechanical and an MBA finance with domain expertise in legal compliance, okay, with 4 years experience as business analyst to data science roles. So Jagdish, since you already have an MBA and also in finance and things like that, so we see people becoming finance related data analysts first. So there are a lot of fintech companies now, right? So in these, again, we also work with some of these very large fintech companies and neobanks, and some of our students are interviewing with these companies now, right? So the fintech space requires domain knowledge, and you have the domain knowledge of finance. So a easy way for you, or the fastest way for you to get the foot in the data science career will be like a data analyst in a fintech type company. And from a data analyst will be easier for you because it will depend a lot on data analysis, simple machine learning techniques, a lot of exploratory data analysis, plotting, Python programming, and most importantly, domain expertise, which you already have with 4 years experience. So try and get into a data analyst at a fintech like company. That should be easy for you given your background experience. From a data analyst, within a year or so, within a year, maybe 2, increase the depth of your knowledge, right? Become better at advanced machine learning techniques, deep learning techniques, etc. And you can graduate from a data analyst. You can even join as a senior data analyst, given that you already have 4 years of experience, right? In similar domain. So you can graduate from a senior data analyst to a data scientist, or even a senior data scientist in a couple of years after you join in under 2 years after you join as a data analyst, as long as you're improving your depth of knowledge of machine learning and deep learning. That's a very, very plausible path. Cool. So, okay, the next one is from Anvesh. Can you explain? I'm sorry, just give me a sec. I'll just read the question in the meantime. So Anvesh says, can you explain about distributed machine learning roles? How can big data engineer people leverage background and switch to data science career? Again, distributed machine learning is done nowadays by companies of all sizes. Anybody who has more than 10 TB of data is using some form of distributed machine learning. That's become the norm. Like, that's why even we have covered Spark quite extensively with a focus on distributed machine learning. We have covered SageMaker and the internals of distributed machine learning in some of our live sessions in the last couple of years. And the reason for that is even a general data scientist is expected to know the basics of it. He doesn't have to be an expert in Spark, but he has to know how to use it, the basic knowledge, working knowledge of it. So if you're already a big data engineer, there are two advantages you have. Number one, you already can build data pipelines very easily. So you're already good at it. And since you already know big data platforms like Spark, for you, marrying your expertise, let's say of data science or machine learning or deep learning techniques, you can easily map them to large-scale distributed machine learning systems. Because how is distributed machine learning done today? It's done mostly using Spark or using TensorFlow distributed or some PyTorch distributed versions and things like that. Since you already have that expertise, you can easily train. There is a second piece that you're still missing here, which is the productionization component. Building a low latency, scalable deep learning system is not easy. It's a fairly hard problem that many teams still struggle with today. A small team of good machine learning engineers will still take a few months, maybe 6 months or even 12 months to build a solid, extremely low latency big data system for machine learning productionization. Since you've worked on big data, that should become easy for you because you might already know things like Kubernetes, Docker, how do you scale it, right? All sorts of internal details of big data systems and scalability in general, load balancers, all of that stuff. So you can leverage your advantage to become a very, very solid machine learning engineer with strong focus on distributed training and scalable deployment, right? So those are two important, very important aspects that big data engineers can easily transition. Cool. Again, you're in a very good role actually. So this is from, I think it's an Elias Al-Kian. Is there a hope to come into data science field if there is a career gap of 4 to 5 years? Very good question again. So if you have a career gap, this is what we observe from a lot of our students. Your first foot in the door most likely will be a small internship at a small startup. They may not pay a lot, but it will be an internship. Very often they pay lower amounts. If you already have a career gap, the best way to get into data science, we've seen tons of people do that by the way, is first learn the concepts, build a strong portfolio of work, interview for data science interns at smaller startups. Get your foot in the door, convert the internship into a full-time role, become a data scientist in that startup, and then work your way up. In a couple of years, you can go to some of the very good product-based startups. It takes time. You have to be patient. Again, most companies may not give you a shot for full-time roles directly. So get your foot in the door through an internship. That's what we recommend all of our students to do. Okay, cool. Okay, so, there is a flood again of questions. Okay, so I'll try to cover as many as possible. Okay, so this is from Nitish Mishra. I have 2 years of experience in cybersecurity as an HSM engineer, but I want to transition my career to data science and machine learning. Would this suit now for me? Again, Nitish, I would say that since you already have worked for 2 years in cybersecurity, there is a lot of work in the intersection of cybersecurity and data science. Tons of intersection, because Again, you might know it better than me because I've never worked as a cybersecurity guy. But in cybersecurity, you crunch a lot of data and you look for patterns. Right now, probably you're using an external tool, but you can become a data scientist with deep domain expertise in cybersecurity and become a data scientist in the same company that you're working at, or the company that makes the tools that you're using, right? So don't leave your expertise behind. It's very doable. We believe that cybersecurity, you already might already know this, that it has already become, and it will more and more become, very data driven or data intensive job. So having the tools to process the data and to crunch it and to get insights from it is super duper helpful. So you could become a data scientist with expertise in cybersecurity, and that will open up a lot of roles. Again, there are a lot of companies in Israel which hire people with data science expertise in cybersecurity, and I'm sure there are companies in India also which do that. Again, I don't have deep expertise in cybersecurity jobs, but I see tons of potential there. Okay, so this is from Nikhil. I'm working as a DevOps engineer using Google Compute Platform as a fresher with a 7 lakhs per annum compensation at a service company. After 2 years, should I go on to do MS, or can I learn ML through courses and switch my job? Again, you can do either of them. The MS, as I was telling you earlier, most people pursue MS to get a job or to create a pathway to a job in the US. That's the reality of it. If learning is your objective, you can learn it online nowadays, especially data science. And as long as, since you already have GCP background, you can build again, since you already know DevOps, you can focus more on machine learning productionization. As I was telling you a while ago, Kubernetes, Docker, load balancers, right? Distributed cache, all of those things, right? So you could become a very good machine learning engineer with a focus more on GCP itself. There is Vertex AI that GCP recently launched. You can get deep domain expertise on that. Also on the ML ops part. Nowadays, more and more companies are looking at ML ops. So the decision between going to MS or not, it's all about, do you want to work in the US or in India? That's all, right? Cool. Again, a small comment about pursuing a master's degree in general is this, or any degree for that matter, is as follows. A degree is an additional signaling factor to recruiters that you have spent some time, you have done this coursework, you have done this project. It is an additional signaling factor. Imagine you pursue a master's degree, but you don't have the skills. It's useless, right? So if you don't even if you have a master's degree from a top university, if you don't have skills, companies will not hire you. So skills are mandatory. The master's degree is an icing on the cake, because the moment you say, I've done my master's degree, this is my CGPA, I've done a master's degree with a specialization in AI and machine learning, that signals to the recruiter that this candidate actually finished some coursework, finished some projects. So the expectation from you is that you have spent more time in an academic program and hence you know more. That's the expectation. If you don't reach that expectation, you won't get a job. So always look at any master's degree as a signaling factor. It is sending a signal to the recruiters that you've spent more time and hence you have more skills. But if you don't have the skills, doesn't matter, it will not help you. Skills with a master's degree is a very good combination in general, because you both have the skills and you have the proof that you have the skills through a master's degree with a very good CGPA and a solid project, right? So that's a deadly combination. Okay, cool. Again, we have seen people who just have skills, don't have master's degrees, also get very good jobs. That's also plausible. But use it as an additional signaling factor only in general. Again, there are companies which prefer people with master's degrees. There are some roles and some companies that do. It's a subtle, it's a subtle indicator. Like typically, imagine I've just done my bachelor's degree, right? In bachelor's degree, how much AI and machine learning do you typically learn? Maybe one course, maybe 2 courses at most, even at the top universities. If you do a master's degree with specialization in AI and ML, you're sending a signal that, hey, I've spent almost a couple of years, I've taken close to 10 plus courses just on machine learning, data science and AI. And hence I have a CGPA of, let's say, 9 out of 10. That shows that yes, you're much better. You have spent more time and hence you have more skills. It's only a signaling factor, but nonetheless an important signaling factor. Cool. This is Nitin who says, what does AWS machine learning specialty exam certifications do in the hunt for a job? Nitin, at this point of time, we have not seen many companies ask for the AWS machine learning specialization exams. We have not seen many companies focusing on it, right? That's why we also don't recommend that at this point of time. If you have it, again, it's another signaling mechanism, right? It's just a signaling mechanism. Having it doesn't hurt, might even add some value to you, but we have not seen companies ask that a lot, at least as of now. This might change in the future, who knows? Okay, the next question is from Aditya Pandey. I have experience in data analytics. And if I'm switching to data science, then will it be considered as experience? I mean, will I get a salary as a fresher or as an experienced guy? So it depends on what you've done in the data analytics role. So if you've done a lot of data analysis as part of the data analytics role, then yes, it will be considered. If you've just done some basic plotting, right? Basically, you have used some tool to plot things, then it may not be considered very relevant. There will be some advantage given to you, but it's not fully relevant. Suppose imagine if you have designed some metrics for your data analytics team, some KPIs, that's a very, very relevant experience for data science. So within data analytics, what you have done matters a lot. If you have just used some tool to plot things, not very helpful. If you have designed these plots yourself on what to plot, when to plot, why this is the right plot, what is the metric to plot, right? And what analysis can we do beyond this plot, then that is proper data science experience. Then it will be counted. It all depends on what you've done. Cool. Okay, so is the job scope for a ML or NLP or computer vision engineer same as a data scientist? I'm a full stack developer and wondering if getting the former is much more competitive. Again, it's just a title that companies give. We have seen companies just say a title called data scientist and those guys end up working on NLP. It's just a difference of title. When a company says computer vision engineer, that's very clear that this guy works on computer vision. When they say NLP engineer, it's very clear that you'll be working on NLP most of your time. A data scientist is like a broader job title. A data scientist can do natural language processing, can do computer vision, can do time series analysis, can do tabular analysis, whatever it is. So try and be a generalist, especially in the early years of your career. You can build the depth of knowledge a little later. I'm not against that. But the very first job that you're getting into data science, try and be a generalist so that you can attract more roles than be too much of a specialist. Because if you say, hey, I'm a computer vision guy, you're disregarding all the NLP jobs that are there, which are very exciting and a lot of learning and a lot of potential there. Why leave it? So it's better to think more from a generalist perspective early on. Cool. Okay, so this is from Vachan Nadupalli. How does a person go about evaluating the job market for ML and DS? Is it true that there is a saturation in the market? Okay, so and is it possible that MLEs earn on an average less than traditional software engineers? We haven't seen the trend that MLEs or data scientists are earning less than software engineers in general. So the same calibered software engineer is earning even today less than the same calibered data scientist, at least at this point of time, right? Of course, there will be lower calibered data scientists who will earn less than an average software engineer. There is always a spectrum, right? But if you take the median data scientist versus a median software engineer, the median data scientist certainly earns more, at least as of the current thing. Now, is there a saturation in the market? At least we don't see that at this point of time. And the reason being that the job roles are not being filled. Companies are struggling. Like I was talking to a very large fintech company recently. Their head of data science is a good friend of mine. And we work together at Amazon. And he says, it's so damn hard, Varma, to hire good people. I'm struggling. My biggest bottleneck is not money. It's not computational resources. It's people. And they're willing to pay, even for data analysts, 10 lakh plus for a fresher. This is for data analyst. Data scientists, they're willing to go 20 plus. And they're not finding good people. So the problem here is many people think that there is a scarcity because everybody says I'm a data science enthusiast or I'm a data scientist. While they lack the skills, the real skills. Just like the way, while everybody might say software engineer is a oversaturated field, companies are struggling to hire good software engineers with 5 years experience. Where have all these guys with 5+ years experience gone? Most likely they have not upskilled themselves. They have not improved their knowledge base. And hence they're not able to crack the Amazons and Googles of the world. While these companies are banging their heads, forget about Amazons and Googles, even startups are banging their heads to get good people. So we have not seen a saturation at all. We have seen this asymmetry that companies are looking for talented people and there aren't enough talented people. Everybody who claims that they're data scientists, they actually can't crack 90% of the interviews. That's unfortunate reality, right? So I think it's not about, even if you just look at job portals and look at data science roles, there are tons of them, right? Obviously. And they're not being filled at a rate that companies would want to fill. And they can't go to, let's say, a college, like what services companies do, right? They go en masse and they hire from colleges en masse. They hire like 500 people from one college. They're not able to do it for data science because it doesn't work like that, because bachelor's degree students typically don't have the mathematical foundations. Teaching them data science takes much longer. So companies are struggling there. At least from what we speak to, again, we speak to a wide spectrum of companies, from small startups, services companies to FANG, and also a lot of unicorn companies also. This is what we observe across the spectrum. Cool. Okay, so this is from Vineet. Oh, Vineet Sutar. Okay, he's one of our Applied AI course students. I think we have also done a success story of him, if I recall. So I have been working on computer vision in a pharma for a year on mask RCNNs. Will it affect my next role if I don't have NLP experience in the current role? Very nice question. How shall I proceed knowing computer vision and NLP? So Vineet, again, you're working on very interesting stuff in computer vision. So for any careers, right? This is what, again, this is a general advice that any career coach will give you. This is not my own concept. I have a small twist on this concept, which is try to be a T person. A T person is somebody who has a breadth of knowledge across the spectrum, and they have depth of knowledge in one area. So your depth of knowledge, because you're working in a pharma sector in computer vision role, your depth is computer vision. Also, your depth is also pharma related computer vision, right? If you want to go more specialization. But you should still have the breadth. You still have to know what's happening in the state of the art in NLP, how transformers are changing the world of NLP. You have to have that breadth. I would say, instead of becoming a T person, this is what the business folks typically say, become a pi person. Pi has two vertical lines. The two vertical lines are, instead of becoming an expert in one field, try and become an expert in two fields so that your career opportunities improve. So Vineet, for your specific question, I would say that if you have time, pick up NLP and become good at it also. If you don't have time, gain more depth of experience and knowledge in computer vision, but know the foundations. Probably you can read up, let's say, about transformers once every couple of months. Go and see what's happening in the state of the art of NLP once every 2 to 3 months. Maybe one good technical blog or couple of technical blogs every now and then, right? So don't lose touch of NLP. Put it as part of your breadth, but go deeper in computer vision. That's one part. If time permits, if you have time at your company, build the depth in computer vision and also in NLP. Why not? It will open up better roles for you in the future. You're still very young in your career. It's your first year, right? So gain more and more breadth and depth as much as you can. That will help you crack better roles and a wider spectrum of roles later, right? Cool. Again, very happy to see that you're doing some very interesting work. Cool. Just a second. Okay, so Vineet is done. So this is Anil Kumar Vasimetti. So I've completed my graduation in ECE and I'm currently working as a software analyst in SAP ABAP domain. I'm looking forward to learn data science and ML as I'm good at mathematics. Can I go for it? Very much. Why not? Again, since you like math, again, I strongly recommend you check out some of the free videos that we have at Applied AI course so that you know what type of math you will encounter, right? What type of coding you will have to build up. That's the whole purpose of our free videos, right? First, experience it before you jump in. And once you jump in, make sure you're putting in 12 to 15 hours of effort. You can easily do it. There's nothing that's stopping you from doing it, especially given that you like math. Cool. Sai says, if I have full-time availability, can I complete AAIC or Applied AI course in a fast track mode? How much time would it take? So Sai, we have seen people complete, I don't know what your background is, but we have seen people complete Applied AI course in 3 to 4 months. and in a fast track. Even working professionals. We've seen working professionals complete, again, they have some programming background or they're already data analysts. We have seen them complete in like 4 months. That's very doable. But if the time availability that you have is because you're taking a career break, please don't do it. Career breaks always sting you later, right? So if you already have a job, join. But if you have some genuine break right now because you're between college and joining in a job, perfect. 3-4 months if you sprint, 4 months more realistically. 3 may be a little hard, but if you know some basic programming, etc., 4 months we have seen people complete it thoroughly. Again, it's not trivial, you'll have to put in effort, but it's very doable. Okay, this is from Harshit. I'm working in supply chain in aviation for the last 3.5 years. Okay, this profile is nowhere related to data science. How can I switch to data science field? Is it possible given that I'm not from coding experience? Harshit, what you could look at is to become a data analyst. That's the most realistic path for you. So given that you come from a supply chain background, a lot of supply chain companies, including e-commerce supply chain companies, B2B supply chain companies, logistics companies, there are a bunch of logistics companies that hire from us, right? They also have data analyst positions where people have some basic knowledge of supply chain and they know basic programming that you can pick up very easily, data analysis and a few basic machine learning techniques. So a more appropriate role for you would be like a data analyst in a logistics company or a supply chain company. From a data analyst, then you can move your way up into a data scientist. That path is possible. Directly going to a data scientist might be less plausible. I will not say impossible, but less likely from our own experiences and data. Okay, cool. So I'm just looking at the chat window again. Okay, so I'm also continuing to look at the chat window and I'll try and answer a few questions before we wrap up. Again, we'll wrap up in another 10 minutes or so. I know I'm overshooting. I said it's a 60-minute session, but I'll overshoot by 10 minutes to take a few questions here. Cool. How viable is data science domain? This is from Guru Datta. For somebody with 16 plus years of geospatial experience. Okay, very nice. So Guru, there are a lot of companies like Map My India, right? Bosch, right? There are many of these companies. There's also another company where one of my friends works as a data scientist in geospatial. I forgot the company name. So there is always these Map My India like companies. There are also companies which use geospatial data. Google Maps, for example, right? So if you have deep domain expertise in geospatial data, in your current organization, can you leverage the new tools of computer vision, right? Or the new advances in machine learning to solve a module within your current role? Then you can look for jobs in the, of course, I'm sure there are fewer jobs in the intersection of geospatial data and data science. There are fewer jobs. But in your current role, why don't you apply data science, machine learning and deep learning techniques to build new products? And recently I was reading that Map My India is now a new unicorn, right? It's a very old company which has been doing some very interesting data collection for India, right? So there are companies like that which work in the intersection and you could look at those companies for sure. So when is the new diploma batch starting? Again, we are just awaiting the final confirmation. As soon as we have the confirmation, we'll make an announcement on this channel the day we get a final confirmation from the university. And again, we typically give a good amount of time. Again, we just need the official confirmation from the university. We're just awaiting that. As soon as we get it, you'll be one of the first people to know it. Cool. So the question here is, this is an odd man out question. The alias is also an odd man out. I'll take this because it's very different from the questions that we've seen. How to start an AI company? What is a pathway for building a company whose DNA is AI, ML and DL? One simple thing that I'll tell you about building companies is don't have a hammer and go looking for nails. Okay? The idea is always start with the problem. Start with a customer pain point. Start with a real world problem, work backwards from the customer or the problem to the solution. Don't say, I have my hammer called AI, I'm looking for a solution. That will never work. Always work backwards. Look at problems that AI people face, that data scientists face, that companies are facing. Always start with the problem and work backwards. While you're working backwards, don't force fit AI and machine learning. Okay, make it genuinely part of it. Now you can look at, let's say you have 10 problems, right? Try to work the solutions for those, genuine solutions. Only some of them will have AI or machine learning as integral parts. Those are the companies that you should pursue. Don't start with AI machine learning and go look for a problem that you want to solve. That's a wrong approach to building startups. Always start with a customer pain point or a customer problem, work backwards. In this path, if there is AI, great, or else pursue some other thing. Also, when you pick a problem, pick problems that you are passionate about. When all of us started Applied AI course, we were extremely passionate about education, in general higher education. So we thought there are so many gaps in higher education. We have been through the whole cycle of higher education in India. So we were extremely passionate about it, and hence we saw gaps, we saw problems, and we tried to work them. In some places we used AI, but in a lot of places we don't use AI, and that's okay. So pick problems that you're passionate about, work backwards. If there is AI, good. If not, pick another problem that you're passionate about. So scratch, again, if it's a problem that you face, scratching your own itch is better. Solve a problem that you face day in and day out. Nothing beats that, right? Cool. Okay, folks. Will this course help women relaunch their careers after 10 years of their masters? So, Ruchi, we have had students of ours who have taken career breaks because of maternity or various reasons. And they've been able to rebound after career breaks into proper jobs. Also, a lot of companies now have a women recruitment cycle. So women who had taken career breaks for family, for kids, whatever reasons, right? So there are women drives that companies are conducting. We also work with some of these women drives. And if you have such a large career gap, if you're building the skills, you can always get into a data analyst type of role and then work your way into a data scientist. It's possible. We've also seen women with career breaks because of maternity or family who have become first remote interns, built the skills, built the resume, and then moved into full-time roles. That's another path that will most likely happen for somebody like you with about 10 years of career break because of various reasons. Again, we are here to help you. We understand that pain point that a lot of women go out to the workforce because of maternity, because of family reasons, but they want to come back after a few years. And we take that audience very seriously. We want to do everything possible to help them succeed because they're an important part of workforce that should come back because they have the right mindset, they have the skills, and when they come back to the workforce, they'll contribute not just to their family, but for the broader society. So we look at it as our mission to help these women explicitly, part of the whole plan that we have, that this is a cohort of audience that we truly want to double down, give them extra help if they need, and things like that, right? So thank you very much. Cool. So this is, okay. Is there any degree of data science in the world? So there are a few companies, there are a few institutions that offer master's degrees in data science. There are many institutions now. I think even Indian Institute of Science, where I studied, they have an MTech program in AI right now. It's a 2-year MTech program. Admission is through GATE. So a lot of companies are doing that, right? Okay, sounds good. So we'll wrap up. It's already 12:05. I overshot by 5 minutes. Thank you everyone for participating in it. I understand it's still festive season for many of you. Happy Sankranti, happy Bihu, happy Lodi. I think Lodi was just over a couple of days back, but and Uttarayan, whichever festival we celebrate, right? Please spend this time very carefully with your family. Please stay safe. I understand, especially in south of India, in AP, Telangana, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, this is like a major festival. I think in parts of Kerala also, if I'm not wrong. So let's stay safe. Let's not be the super spreaders ourselves. And yeah, all the very best and see you in the coming weeks. Bye-bye.